The lawyer said my grandmother left me her house. I said she's still alive. He went pale and said, "Ma'am, she died 3 years ago." I laughed out loud because this had to be some kind of clerical error. My grandmother called me every single Sunday without fail. We had dinner together just last month at her little blue house on the corner of Maple Street. I pulled out my phone and showed him her contact with all our recent calls listed right there. He stared at the screen for an uncomfortably long time before gesturing for me to sit down. His hands were trembling slightly as he pulled out a death certificate dated exactly 3 years ago. Her signature on the will matched perfectly with documents from decades prior. Then he showed me photographs from a funeral that I had apparently attended. There I was wearing a black dress and standing beside a mahogany casket with white lilies draped across the top. My face in the photo looked absolutely devastated and tear-streaked, but I had no memory of this moment whatsoever. None at all. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through more photos. My mother was sobbing in one picture. My uncle was standing at a podium giving what looked like a eulogy in another. I was clutching a bouquet of roses in a third photo with mascara running down my cheeks. The lawyer asked if I was feeling all right, and I mumbled something about needing fresh air before stumbling out to the parking lot. I called my mother immediately from my car, and she answered on the second ring with her usual cheerful hello. I asked her point blank when Grandma died, and she went completely silent for what felt like an eternity. Finally, she said Grandma passed away 3 years ago and asked why I was suddenly bringing this up now. I told her I had just eaten dinner with Grandma last month at her house. The silence on the other end was absolutely deafening. Then my mother started crying and demanded to know exactly where I was. She said she was coming to get me right now and told me not to move. I sat in my car with my head spinning, trying desperately to remember anything about attending a funeral. Nothing came to me, but I remembered Sunday phone calls filled with laughter and stories. I remembered holiday dinners with her famous apple pie. I remembered her lavender perfume and her warm hugs, and the way she always managed to burn the dinner rolls no matter how carefully she watched them. My mother arrived 20 minutes later with my father right behind her. They both looked absolutely terrified as they approached my car. My mother grabbed my hands and begged me to describe my last visit with Grandma in detail. I told her we had pot roast with mashed potatoes and green beans. We watched her favorite game show together like always. She gave me a blue sweater she had been knitting for months. My mother collapsed against the car, sobbing harder. She said Grandma always made that exact pot roast every time I visited as a child. She said Grandma never missed an episode of that game show in 40 years. Then she said Grandma had been knitting me a blue sweater when she died but never finished it. My father pulled out his phone with a grim expression and showed me a recent photo of Grandma's house. The place was completely abandoned. Windows boarded up with plywood, front lawn overgrown with weeds taller than my waist. He said nobody had lived there since she passed and the bank foreclosed 2 years ago. I told him that was impossible because I was just there 4 weeks ago. He drove us to the house that afternoon. It looked exactly like the photo, abandoned and decaying. A foreclosure notice was stapled to the front door. I walked up the porch where we always sat drinking lemonade. The chairs were rusted and falling apart. I looked through the dirty window. Furniture covered in sheets, dust everywhere inches thick, no signs of life for years. My mother took me to a doctor the next day. They ran every test. Brain scans and blood work all came back normal. The doctor asked about stress and trauma. He asked about drug use and sleep patterns. Nothing explained 3 years of vivid memories with a dead woman. My phone rang late that night. Caller ID said Grandma. I answered trembling. Her voice came through exactly as I remembered. She asked why I missed Sunday dinner. She said she made pot roast. I recorded the call and played it for my parents. They heard only static. My mother called the number back. Disconnected. I went to that abandoned house alone the next week. I sat on the broken porch and cried for hours. The sun started setting and I stood to leave. That is when I saw it. A freshly knitted blue sweater folded on the porch swing, still warm. A note inside said, "I love you, sweetheart. See you Sunday."